Hello and welcome to today's video. Today, another Inky Minutes review of an ink I have loved and used for quite a while, and that is an Iroshizuku ink, and today it is Tsuki-Yo. This is a really lovely blue with a slight leaning towards kind of like a tealy blue-black kind of color. Now, when I first got into Pilot Iroshizuku inks, obviously everyone was like raving about Konpeki. And for some reason, in that initial period, Tsuki-Yo seemed to like just kind of go under my radar, which is a real shame because it really is one of the most beautiful inks I have ever used. Now, Pilot Iroshizuku inks come in these beautiful glass bottles, 50ml bottles, with a nice little dimple in the bottom there, so you can get your nib nice and deep into the bottle. I've been using this for a while. I had one of the, the little 15 mil bottle sizes. This is Shinkai, but this size bottle of this first. And about halfway through that, I realized this ink was going to be a bit of a game changer for me. So I upgraded to the full 50 size bottle, and now I'm working my way through that one. I've had this in a bunch of pens over the years. So while today's video is primarily focused on two pens, or one pen and one dip pen, I have used this a lot over the years, different papers, different pens. I've had it in Pelicans, I've had it in Lamis, I've had it in just about everything. So enough talking, this is the ink. So this is a coloring card, and you can see it's got some lovely sort of that red copper sort of sheen. It's a really interesting sort of almost tealy sort of grey leaning blue, black, darkish, mid blue. It's kind of like, it's hard to describe the color because it doesn't fit into any category particularly easily, but it is absolutely stunning here. Let's now look at it on Tomoe River. So this is 52 GSM Tomoe River, the good old stock. I had it in two pens, the Asvine J16 with the medium nib, and then I also wrote with it with my Sailor Hokoro dip pen with the fine nib. It's quite a nice wet ink. It's got that, as I said, that lovely sort of red copper sheen. I wouldn't say it's water resistant, but you know, where I put the water down, there was some ink remaining, so that's really positive. Iroshizuku inks are really safe for fountain pen use. They are beautifully formulated. They work in just about any pen you put them in. They're wet and they're smooth. It's just beautiful ink to write with. So in that Asvine, particularly in this instance, it's just a joy to write with. And you can even see hits of the sheen in the writing as well, which is really nice. So this ink retails for about 35 Australian dollars for that 50ml bottle, depending on where you go, and 25, 26 US dollars. So the Pilot prices seem to sort of fluctuate just a little bit, but at the moment, as I'm filming this, this is sort of where the prices sit. It's got great page contrast. The shading is sort of minimal. If we look at the dip pen writing there, there's a little bit of shading, but the shading is minimal, but it is beautiful. It is quite a wet ink, so it tends to sort of even out across where you've done the writing, but it is a very beautiful color. Looking at the reverse of this page, obviously the swatch has come through, but none of the writing from either pen has. Ghosting, of course, on Tomoe River, but no bleed through. Now let's look at it on some other paper, and we'll start at the office copy paper here. So it's a lot more muted. This is 80 GSM reflex copy paper. Very muted. There is a bit of feathering happening and spread, but it is a slightly more grey tone on this paper. On the reverse of this, the bleed through is not too bad. Like, yes, all these inks are bleeding through. This is not fountain pen friendly paper, but I think it's holding as well as any ink could on this paper. And then the student notepad paper, once again, lots of feathering, much more muted, even sort of grey blue tone, but it looks okay. And the reverse of that, once again, this is a good performance on this paper. Iroshizuku inks, Pilot know what they're doing. Let's be real here. Pilot really know what they're doing. And this ink performs beautifully here. And then here I have it on 80 GSM rodeo paper. Now, rodeo paper is fountain pen friendly paper. You see the lovely swatch there, looks beautiful. It's a rich, sort of a rich tealy sort of blue. Water resistance, once again, same as the Tolma River. You get the detail, it does move around a bit, but you still maintain some of that detail. So it's not waterproof, but it has some water resistance. The Sailor dip pen looks nice there. The Asbine looks beautiful. Nice bits of shading and some nice wetness. Page contrast, once again, really great. Even in the lighter shading, perfectly readable every time. The reverse of that here, you see nothing comes through except for the swatch, of course, putting out a lot of ink for that. But, you know, in the everyday writing, absolutely nothing comes through. This ink performs absolutely beautifully. For those of us who are interested, here is the chromatography. You can see there's lots of that sort of grey-green sort of colour there, which lends to that teal element we do see in the ink. Nice solid blues, a few darker things, but just, yeah, you see all of this when you see the shading, and it's absolutely gorgeous. One of my favorite parts of doing these ink reviews is actually doing the color comparison, because it lets me drag out a bunch, hundreds of like swatch cards and sort of start to just plot a few out. And I don't always go for the exact match. I kind of like to put inks into sort of context, if you will. So instead of showing this is 3 other inks that look exactly like Tsuki-Yo, what I'm doing is I'm putting it into context around other inks you might be familiar with to give you a sense of what the ink is like. So I'm going to start with 2 Iroshizuku inks here, and the first is Konpeki, because that is probably the most popular blue from Iroshizuku. And then I've got Shinkai here, which is one of my favorite blues. Now, it does have similar things in common with Shinkai, but it leans more on the tealy end as opposed to the gray, almost sort of blue-black end of Shinkai. Both of these inks go on considerably bluer than they dry. So it will dry to this kind of blue, and in the end, after all, seeing as though, you know, if you're writing something that you're going to keep in a notebook for 15 years, it's not the first 30 seconds of that ink that really matter. So, but that puts it into context there. And just also, here is Waterman Serenity Blue, just to show sort of that tealy grey end a bit more. And Diamond Oxford Blue, my favourite blue, showing that it is much lighter and much more on the grey end. 2 inks I wanted to show it alongside specifically were Robert Oster Midnight Sapphire, which has some sort of tonal range in common with, and then Ackerman number 8, Deep Dune Water Blau, which I think also it has some tonal sort of notes in common with, but it is different to both of these. This is a beautiful and wonderful ink. So this was Tsuki-Yo from the Iroshizuku line of inks from Pilot. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. A couple of years ago, I did a video where I asked viewers on a range of platforms what their 3 favorite inks were, and Tsuki-Yo came in really high on that. It's a very popular ink, and it's very clear to see why. It performs well across all those different kinds of papers. It had better than average performance. It cleans easily out of pens. It's got nice saturation, but it's not overly saturated. It is reasonably affordable. It's widely available. There's a reason why these Iroshizuku inks are so popular. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel, I would love to hear from you. In the meantime, enjoy your inks, whatever they may be, and I'll talk to you soon.